Welcome to my next chapter. Today we'll talk about Turkic languages. The ones that I like and what is really exciting for me in Turkic languages. Going back into the past, to the history. In June 1998, I graduated from Kyiv Linguistic University as a specialist in Turkish and English translation. It's an equivalent of master's degree. And the following year, I moved from Kyiv to Baku, Azerbaijan. Since then, Azerbaijan became my second home. Today, Istanbul is my third home. Turkic languages don't have any gender distinctions. He, she, and it is the same word. It's only one letter actually, O. The same is true about Georgian and Persian languages as well, those geographic neighbors. But in Turkish, also one word is used for brother and sister, which is very different from Persian or Georgian or any other language that I know. In Azerbaijani there are two different terms, but in Turkish, here in Turkey, they use one word, which is kardeş. It's amazing. The term kardeş comes from the word womb, karın, and the suffix deş. As many as other suffixes in Turkic languages, the suffix deş has different forms like deş, daş, taş, and so on. So in this case, it is attached to the word karın, womb, which is a short form, like kar. So kardeş, kardaş in different languages differently. In Turkish, it's kardeş. The suffix deş is something like, in English, there is a prefix co-laborer, co-worker, or something like that. And for instance, the word colleague, English word colleague, if you say it in Turkish, it will be the word profession, meslek, and this suffix taş, meslektaş. Or, for instance, the word Vatan, in Turkish it means homeland. So if you add daş to the word Vatan, you will have the word citizen, vatandaş. It's a person who shares the homeland with other people, vatandaş. What can I say about Turkic languages compared to the other languages that I know? I can say that Turkic languages seem to be relatively logical, practical, but at the same time they are very poetical and musical, thanks to the harmony law. And of course they don't use many consonants together, which makes it beautiful and musical as well. Consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, consonant, vowel, sometimes two consonants, like this. But in Georgian, for instance, you sometimes have 5 consonants together. So I think for a Turkish person it would be very difficult to pronounce those words. It's amazing to see how one word sometimes includes so much information, which in English you have to use several words to express. For instance, if you want to say something like, we did what we had to do. We did what we had to do. It's 7 words. You can just use 3 Turkish words. All of them will be verbs or verbal forms. And it is the phrase, yapmamız gerekeni yaptık. So the first verb yapmak and the last word yapmak, to do. In the middle, the verb gerekmek, which means to be necessary. The first word yapmamız is a verbal noun. It means our doing. The second word gereken, gerekeni, is actually is the accusative case. So it means the what is necessary, the required. Required for our doing, we did. And the last yaptık means we did. Turkic poetry is very beautiful. In Azerbaijan there is a form of folk poetry which is called bayatı. It consists of 4 lines, each one of them has 7 syllables, and the first, the second, and the fourth line rhyme, while the third line is independent. They call it serbest, independent or free. For example, one of a beautiful bayatız that I can read to you now. Pervane o dayansın, men cedim o dayansın, o ki meni yandırdı, o tutsun o dayansın. You can see the translation on the screen. And it's interesting to look at the words which rhyme from the first, second, and the last lines. Actually, these words are not mere rhymes. They are so-called tajnis or jinas, which means homonymous words or phrases which are used together and they sound similarly, but they have different meanings. Very, very funny, I think. And people have played with these kind of puns. They've played for centuries and they still enjoy making bayatız and saying them. It's a form of art that's very Turkic, cultural, and I really love it too, of course. In my bookcase, of course, I have a lot of literature, and Turkic literature including. For instance, this is the most famous novel of Azerbaijan, Azerbaijani nation. It's called Ali ve Nino, Ali and Nino, Gurban Said. And actually it's world famous, and now there was a movie made. And I have Yunus Emre. Yunus Emre is one of my favorite Turkic poets. And of course I have this one as well, Hoca Nasreddin. I have it in English here. I would like to read you one story. The very first one here. It's a very nice story. So, you know, these world famous stories, they are Turkic, from the Turkic world. And of course, they are very enjoyable. It's a very short story. Let's look here. Eat my fur coat, eat. Eat my fur coat, eat. That's the name of the story. In Turkish, it's Ye kürküm ye. Hoca is invited to a banquet. He goes there in his everyday clothes. No one pays attention to him. He is taken aback. He rushes home, puts his luxurious fur coat on, and returns to the banquet. This time he is met at the entrance and led up to the dais where he is given the choicest seat. When soup is served, Hoca dunks the lapel in the bowl, saying, "Please have some. Eat my fur coat. Eat my fur coat. Eat. Ye kürküm ye kürküm ye." In amazement, some people ask him why he is doing this. Hoca answers, "The fur coat gets the best treat, so the fur coat should eat." What a story. I mean, how it teaches that people treat you not because of you as a person, but they value your coat. So this ye kürküm ye is a famous word all over the Turkic world. And finally, Yunus Emre. A friend gave me this book as a gift. Yunus Emre Divan. And then this book I bought, Gönüller Sultanı, Yunus Emre. And I just like to share with you 6 lines from Yunus Emre. 3 quotes, 2 lines each. Yaratılanı severiz, yaratandan ötürü. Hakkı gerçek sevenlere cümle alem kardeş gelir. Ey Yunus, arif isen, anladım bildim deme. There are dozens of these sayings and lines that I really love from Yunus Emre. I chose these 3 ones. The first one is like universal, beautiful, wonderful thought. Like it means we love the creature because of the creator. All the words in these 2 lines come from Turkic languages. Yaratmak, sevmek, ötürü. All these are Turkic words exclusively. In the second one, we have several Arabic words. Hak, cümle, alem. Hak means the truth, but it is used as the name of God. So, hakkı gerçek sevenlere means those who truly love God. Cümle means like all, everybody. And alem means world, like Hebrew olam as well. But 4 other words used in these 2 lines are Turkic. Gerçek, sevmek, kardeş, gelmek. We discussed the word kardeş today, so you see, for those who love God, all the world is like brothers and sisters. What a nice words. And the third one. The third one is probably an ending of a poem, because usually in Turkic poetry, they here in the East, not only in Turkic, but in this region, usually the poetry ends in the last part of the poetry, the last stanza usually includes the name of the poet. So here the poet talks to himself and says, Ey Yunus. So, O Yunus, if you are Arif, that's the only Arabic word used here. If you don't count the name Yunus, which is like Jonah, Prophet Jonah. And Turkish people also call dolphins Yunus balığı, the Yunus fish, the Jonah fish. So if you don't count the name Yunus, the only Arabic word here is Arif. Arif means somebody who knows. It's just somebody who knows, but it means like somebody like a wise person who has some deep knowledge and who has some spiritual knowledge. So Yunus, if you are Arif, you shouldn't say anladım bildim. These 3 verbs, anlamak, bilmek, demek, they are all Turkic verbs. Anlamak, to understand, bilmek, to know, demek, to say. So don't say I understood, I knew. And of course we know that people who think they know much, they actually don't know much. They are not arifs, they don't have the real knowledge. But people who don't think they know, who realize the reality that actually we know so little. Even the most knowledgeable people know so little, and it's not the most important to know. The important is to love. So this is what I really like about Yunus Emre. It really corresponds to my beliefs and to my values in life. I think this is enough for me sharing what is fascinating to me in the Turkic languages and literatures. For now, let's turn the page.